Hey everyone, welcome back. It's been a while, but here I am. Let me start by asking, have you ever looked at your Social Security payment and thought, this just doesn't stretch like it used to? Whether it's groceries, fuel, or rent, it seems like the cost of nearly everything has climbed, while your monthly benefits haven't really kept up. For millions of Americans, Social Security isn't just a monthly deposit, it's the foundation. It's what keeps the lights on, puts food in the fridge, and covers essential doctor visits. So when there's even a slight change in your annual benefit adjustment, it can impact your whole budget. What's even more important, right now, there's a new projection making the rounds, an early estimate that could shape next year's cost of living increase. But how is that figure calculated? What does it actually represent? And does it reflect the reality you're facing? That's what many people don't hear enough about. So, if you've felt like your bills are growing faster than your benefits, or if the numbers coming out of Washington seem disconnected from your day-to-day life, this is something you'll want to stick around for. There's more happening behind the scenes than most people realize. And understanding how it works might help you prepare for what's coming. Please do not forget to like this video and subscribe if you find this information helpful. Before we jump in, drop a comment. What's one expense you've seen rise lately? Whether it's eggs, housing, or just your utility bill, I'd love to hear what's hitting your wallet the hardest. And if this kind of content is helpful, or if you just want a clear, calm space for updates, consider subscribing so you don't miss the next one. Now, here's the situation. Each year, Social Security is supposed to adjust its payments to reflect rising living expenses. This increase is known as a cost of living adjustment, or COLA. At the moment, the projected COLA for next year is starting to take shape, and early indicators are pointing to an increase of about 2.5%. At first glance, that number might not seem like much, but it plays a big role in what you'll get in your monthly benefits starting in 2026. And that number carries weight, because even a small percentage change can mean the difference between covering your bills and coming up short. So how do they land on that 2.5% figure? It's tied to something called the CPIW, short for Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers. That's essentially a way the government tracks how prices have changed for a specific group of common goods and services. But here's where it gets complicated. While the CPIW reports that prices have gone up a little over 2% in the past year, many people feel like the actual increase has been much steeper. In fact, a recent survey found that 80% of older Americans believed inflation was higher than 3% last year. That's a big disconnect between what's being reported and what people are actually experiencing. And you're not imagining things. When rent jumps, food costs climb, and healthcare bills stack up, those aren't always captured clearly in the government's formula. One of the biggest criticisms of the current COLA method is that it's based on the spending patterns of workers, not retirees. And for seniors living on a fixed income, that can lead to a distorted picture. You might wonder, why do the official numbers feel so off? One major reason: how inflation data is collected these days. Under the current administration, there's been a strong push to cut costs across federal agencies, including the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which is the team responsible for collecting inflation data. Because of hiring freezes and limited staffing, they've cut back on in-person price collection in several areas. Instead, they're leaning more heavily on estimates and digital models. And while those models can provide insights, they don't always reflect real, on-the-ground price changes accurately. That's where the concern grows. If the figures used to determine your benefit increase don't line up with actual living expenses, your COLA might fall short, leaving your budget stretched too thin. Now, let's come back to that 2.5% projection. On paper, it may seem fair. It's not the smallest we've ever seen, but it also might not fully account for surging costs in areas like healthcare, housing, or food. The Senior Citizens League, a nonpartisan organization that closely monitors this issue, has raised red flags about the mismatch. They've even revised their own forecasting models to include broader factors, like interest rates and national unemployment, to paint a more accurate picture. But here's the problem. If the starting data is flawed, the final numbers will be too. And another key issue: these adjustments don't happen instantly. The COLA gets locked in once a year based on third-quarter data. So if prices spike after that window, you're stuck waiting until next October to see any update. So what can you do in the meantime? First, knowing how these numbers are built, and why they matter, can give you insight into your benefits. If you're already relying on Social Security, it helps you understand why your check changed, or didn't. If you're still preparing for retirement, it's a reminder that these benefits might not stretch as far as you'd hoped. especially when inflation becomes unpredictable. It's also a good idea to explore community-based programs that can add some support. Things like property tax relief, utility bill help, and food access programs can soften the blow when COLA doesn't go the distance. And if you're feeling frustrated, you're not alone. That feeling is shared by advocates, economists, and lawmakers who are pushing for reforms. One idea gaining traction? Switching to a new inflation measure that better reflects older Americans' actual spending patterns. There's also ongoing conversation about tax reform. During his campaign, former President Trump proposed removing taxes from Social Security income. That idea hasn't yet made it into the current proposal, called the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, but there is a proposed $4,000 increase to the standard deduction for seniors. While it's not a full solution, it's intended to offer some financial breathing room. Because let's face it, every little bit helps. But people are watching closely to see if more comprehensive changes ever materialize. Whether it's improving how inflation is measured or revising how benefits are calculated, it's clear updates are overdue. And in an era where public confidence in these systems is fragile, giving people accurate tools and numbers matters more than ever. So the real question isn't just what next year's COLA will be. It's whether it truly reflects what people are living through. And if it doesn't, then there's more work to be done. Let me know in the comments. Have your benefits kept pace with your expenses? What's something you've had to scale back on just to stay afloat? Thanks for being here. Let's keep the conversation going. If you found this helpful, please give it a like, subscribe if you haven't yet, and share this with a friend or loved one who depends on Social Security. Let's help each other stay informed and ready. Thanks for tuning in. Stay safe, stay informed, and I'll see you again very soon.